Hi everybody, this is Marilyn with MKR Creations, and as promised I'm going to do a tutorial on how I did the Disney album. First I'm going to go through the things that you will need, your supplies. I have a Disney sticker. This one I used was the Cinderella Castle sticker. Then I got Flea Market Fancy from Paper Studio resin frames. I'm going to use the oval frame. Then from Paper Studio I have Poppies and Paperie on two of their collections. One is bright beaded paper flowers and the one is bright muted layered paper flowers. Then from Disney I have a die cuts of different princesses. On this one I'm going to use the Heartfelt Creations Regal Borders and Pockets to do my foldouts, or you can use an EK Success paper punch or any paper punch that you have for border punching. This is what I used on the album that I did the flip through on. You will need a pencil, you will need a ruler, scissors, you're going to need score tape, and I am using both sizes. This is a 1/4 inch I believe, and this is 1/2 inch. I also used the score tape sheets for part of my album to keep it from buckling. You will need chipboard, and my chipboard is cut 8.5 by 10.5 for 2 pieces, and then 3 inches by 10.5 for my spine. I have 2 pieces of Tyvek cut at 2 inches by 10 inches, and this is to keep the papers from cracking when you have them on your fold lines. I have 5 pieces of 110-pound cardstock that is at 8.5 by 10. These are for my pages inside. I have 2 12 by 12 65-pound cardstock. This is for the cover of the album. And then I have Disney paper, and that's for decorating the inside of the album. So I'm going to move some of this out of the way and we will get started. Okay, I also forgot to tell you, you're going to need a bone folder. You can use a brayer also, and you're going to need art glitter glue for this project. So this project will be in at least 2 parts, possibly 3, depending how long it takes. Today we're just going to build the outer album and go from there. So first I'm going to erase my pencil marks so there's no chance of them showing through on my paper coverings. Okay, so to get started, I am going to lay my 1/2 inch score tape down along here to hook my 2 12 by 12 pieces together for the outer covering of our album. Okay. And then you want to take your bone folder and really burnish that down to make sure it's good and stuck to that paper, that it won't come apart. Then I like to take my scoreboard. We need to open that up. It just gives me a nice edge, nice and straight, to put my pages together. So we're gonna pull the other side liner off the score tape and set that in there like that. Then take this one and line it up nice and straight. And then push it together. And you are also going to need a scoreboard later in this project also. If you don't have a scoreboard, you can always use the edge of a ruler and just run a scoring object down the side of that to score the area. So next we're going to put our score tape all around the edge of our spine. And again, we're going to burnish that down. Okay. Then we're going to take our 2 pieces of Tyvek, and I'm going to take one side off of here. And place that down along there. And then take your bone folder and rub that down again. And on this side, I'm going to do the same thing. And then we're going to put score tape on top of our Tyvek. And this helps keep your hinges from cracking when your albums open and close. And you want to put it along the edge of this part of the Tyvek also to hold it down in place. Okay, and then we want to burnish all that down to make sure it stays stuck good and that our album does not come apart. Now, I've used the cheaper score tapes and I do not like them. I like the Score Tape is a very expensive brand, but it keeps your stuff from falling apart. I've used the cheaper brands and I've had things fall apart on me. So I choose to keep using the Score Tape. It's just wonderful. It holds things really well. So I'm going to measure up about 3/4 of an inch here on my lower edge of my album cover, and I'm just going to very, very lightly go with the pencil along that line. And this helps me keep everything straight, because if I don't do this, things are crooked, and even when I do this, sometimes things get crooked on me. So I highly recommend doing this, especially if you're a beginner. Some of your crafters that have been doing this a long time can do it without any problem, but I have a crooked eye. I always have. My husband is always going around straightening my pictures because they're crooked on the wall, and so I use the measuring method so I get things straight. And even when I do get them straight, they sometimes look crooked to me. So you take all your backer tapes off now, and you're going to be ready to place your spine on your cover. So you turn it over and try not to touch your tape. You want to center it right in the middle of where that overlap is. You don't want to open and close on those overlaps because they will make things come apart more easily if you put that strain on there. So our first piece of chipboard is down. And now we're going to add the other two. So again, you're going to go around the edges of these, and we're going to do some down the center to keep everything in place. I want to give a shout out to Shelly Geigel of J&S Hobbies and Crafts and Corrine of Corrine's Creations for their inspiration in how to do my albums. They are the first ones I watched when I was doing album making, and they are phenomenal. You may want to check out their channels. They do an awesome job, and they have some very, very intricate, beautiful albums that they make. I followed Corrine's Creations on her gatefold album and made a gatefold album for my mom for Christmas that I filled with historic family pictures for her, and she really liked that. And a lot of my family passed that around to look at. Again, you want to use plenty of score tape because you want things to be held down, because depending on what you're putting on the outside of your albums, if it's very heavy at all, which this one won't be very heavy, or I'd be putting even more tape down, it can pull your paper away from your album, and you just really don't want that. You want your album to look very professional and well done, so that it is something that you are proud to give to your friends and family. So we are going to take this off, and we'll be ready to put our next piece down. And I use some people use what they call a pokey tool. I use the Cricut poker, like weeder, I think might be the real name for this thing. It's got a sharp end on it, and it helps get the edge of that tape off. Okay, now you want to use an album spacer, which is basically just two pieces of your chipboard glued together, and this gives you a space so that when you open and fold your album, things are not running against each other and binding up. So give that a good press down. Now I'm gonna turn it the other way because I think I'm probably getting out of camera shot, and we'll get the other one done. We'll pull all this tape off. Okay, and again we're going to use our spacer, and we're going to get this lined up with that line at the bottom, which now is at my top, and lined up with the alright, with the spacer. Okay, so that is that part. And now we need to go around and put tape around the edges, because we're going to fold up this and go onto our chipboard. Now this is just the beginning of covering this. We will be doing more to cover it here in a bit after we get the outer covers put up. Okay, I needed to get some more score tape. That roll ran out. You want to put this right up to the edge as close as you can get it to put down this folded edge. Okay then, and that you want to burnish down. Okay, and then you want to gently start folding up your edges, and just gently, slowly do that. You don't want to crack your cardstock. You just want to gently start bringing it up so it starts getting used to the idea that it's going to be folding. Kind of stretch those paper fibers gently to get ready. Okay, now on your corners, you're going to want to miter your corners, but you want to leave a little bit of paper there that you can tuck in so that your cardstock does not show. So we're just going to gently do that with just maybe about 1/8 of an inch showing there. And we'll do that on each corner. Okay, we're going to start on our long edge here, and we're going to take the tape off. And then gently starting at the center, fold up and over and press down. And do that all along the edge, all the way down to the very edge there. And then take your bone folder and burnish that down. Okay, and then we're going to do the other long edge. So again, pull up your tape cover. And start in the center again, fold up and all the way down along your edge. And again, use your bone folder to flatten everything out and burnish down your tape. Then, when it comes to the sides here, what we're going to do is you can use your bone folder, you can use your fingernail gently. Even with your bone folder, be very gentle because you can tear your paper and that isn't the look you want. Okay, so I got those pushed in. And again, you're going to start at the center and fold it over and bring it all the way down. And same way with the other end. Push in your corners. Take up your score tape. Start at the center and bring it over. Use your bone folder and burnish it all down. Alrighty. Now take your bone folder and you just want to gently push here where your hinge is so that the paper kind of gets used to the fact that you're going to ask it to fold there. Okay? Now we need to do the inner cover. And first we're going to measure for that. And then we are going to put that down. So again, you're going to take your score tape and you're going to go right down the edge here to hook two pieces together, because this is too big to use the 8.5 by 11 on for the inside. It will be just way too small for it. All right, let's burnish that down. Okay, and let's look at how wide we want, or how tall actually we want this. So we want to come up a little ways here because we want to just have a little bit of a edge along here. So I'm thinking 10 1/8 is probably where we want to be. So we're going to cut our height to 10 1/8. So I have two paper trimmers. I have this We Are Memory Keepers one, but it has gotten to the point where I can't get the replacement blades for this one, which breaks my heart because it's also my scoreboard. So I had to buy a new one that I got from Fiskars, and that's a pretty good brand too, and I'm liking that one. But okay, I didn't do that right. All right, grab another piece of paper and do it right. So I said 10 1/8, and I went at 8 1/8. Okay, 10 1/8. All right, and again we're going to use our straight edge here to make sure I get everything straight and together. One thing I'm still learning how to do is talk and craft at the same time. I really need my head in the game when I'm doing this. Okay, and I'm going to need that again here in a second. We are going to put this smack dab in the middle here, and then we're going to come over and we're going to measure that we just have like about 1/8 of an inch on each side when we go to glue this down. So we just make a little pencil mark on your paper, and you wanted to make sure that you lined your seam up in the middle. So we'll grab the paper cutter again and just line this little mark up with the cut line, which is right there. Put it over and slice up. We'll do that again on the other side to make sure that we are right. So down here, I don't know if that's in camera, down here is my cut line and my little mark. And that is all there is to that. Okay, Then we are going to set this aside a second and pull out our chipboard piece. Now this is the piece that is a little bit, oh, I don't know, demanding for me, a little bit difficult for me. I have trouble with getting this inner part not to buckle up when I fold my stuff in, so I found that the way to cure that is to use more score tape. And in fact, I use these score sheets and I cut them in half, and 3/4 of the sheet is needed for one book. So that's how I do that. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to go over the chipboard part with our score tape. And we want plenty of score tape there, and especially here where the seams are, so that they don't buckle when the paper when you fold them. Oops. Okay, so we're gonna put one on each end and then one down the middle. And then I'm putting one here. And I'm going to put a second one here next to this one, because this is where I usually have the biggest problem, is right in this area of them buckling. And that just does not look real professional. Okay. I'm going to put one more here just to be safe. All right, and I'm going to do that on the other side. And I'm just going on the score tape part. I'm going to put the chipboard part. I'm going to put score tape on the outside of that paper so that we make sure that we have all the adhesive covered, because you don't want adhesive sticking out when you start putting your pages in, because it will just be a mess and everything will stick together on you. All right, and then you want to burnish all of this down. Make sure it's good and stuck to your chipboard. Okay, and now we're going to put score tape all around the edge of this piece. Another thing you want to do when you're buying your cardstock, there are different kinds of cardstock out there, and they may say white, that they're not all white. Some of them are kind of a yellowish white or a cream white. So you want to make sure that what you're buying all goes together. I particularly like Neenah's Bright White. It is a very nice white cardstock that does not have any yellowing to it. And it's a good quality cardstock. You want to make sure you get through all the edges, because this is what's going to hold this down to your album. Alrighty, so we'll burnish that down. Alright, so now we will start taking score tape off. We're going to start over here. And There it is. Start on whatever side is easiest for you to work on, easiest for you to line things up with. You want to have a good line of sight when you're doing this so that things line up good for you. Okay, I'm just going to pull half off for now till I get things lined up, and then I will take the other half off. Just going to make sure I'm lined up well before I even start here. Fold that back a little so that I can grab it easier. Okay, so this stuff sticks hard and fast, so you want to make sure you're lined up okay before you start putting it down. All right, that worked out pretty good. Now, take off the rest of our stuff here and we can finish. Okay, and slowly down and smooth it down as you go. All right, that worked pretty darn good. Now you want to take a brayer bone folder and just do it very gently. Make sure the pointy parts of your brayer are up so you don't mar your paper. Make sure that's all down. If you would happen to have a spot where your glue or your tape didn't quite go to the edge, or something, you know, seems a little loose, you can always take a little of your art glitter glue, put a tiny, tiny dot under there and push it down, and that will work for you. Okay, now you want to take your bone folder again and kind of go down this area where we're going to be folding. And gently starting to fold that up, very gently. Okay. Now we are ready to get pages ready to go in to our album here. This is where you need the 8.5 by 10 inch papers. Our album is 8.5 by 10.5. And so what we're going to be doing is we will be scoring our pages along the 8.5 inch side. You're going to score at a 1/2 inch. So that is going to be where you're going to be folding them to put them in your album. So use your scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, like I said, you can take a ruler and measure over a 1/2 inch, make tiny marks that you cannot see, put your ruler down, and then use a scoring tool. You can use like the dull end, like if you have the caps off of a pen, use the cap off the pen on the dull end. Don't use the Sharpie part. You're going to want to use something that's a little more dull. If you do use the sharp part, just be very, very careful not to go through your paper. And we want to score at a 1/2 inch on each of these, and then we'll fold them, and I'll show you how to put them in your album. If you're having trouble staying in your scoreboard line, one of the tips you can use is to rub your hand over that. It helps with a little bit of the oils from your hands without being too oily, and it helps your scoring tool flow a little easier down the scoreboard. Okay. Now we're going to score each or fold each of those along their score line and take our bone folder. This is 110-pound cardstock, so it will be a good sturdy cardstock for and be able to take some abuse in those albums. Okay, so we're ready to put those in our album. And our album, if you remember, is 10.5 long. So we want our pages to come up about 1/4 inch. So we're gonna, again, use our handy dandy tool here. And that's a 1/2, that's 1/4. So we're about 1/4 inch here. And we're just going to make a very, very light pencil mark, though I don't know that I really have to, because that's about where my spine is, or my covering is, for when we put our inside on. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to put score tape on each of these. Actually, I think I'm going to use my art glitter glue, because that'll give you a little more time to adjust things how they need to go. You don't want to use very much. It doesn't take very much, and if you have the metal tip, it is already going to not give you a lot. So we're going to just this on, just scratch on some. You want to make sure that you do get up along this edge here so that our page does not fold wrong. Okay, and then you're going to line up with this bottom and line up there and close but not exactly in the fold, and you're going to lay it down and rub it. Hold it for a couple minutes so the art glitter glue can take hold. It does not take long. It really, really is a fast acting glue. So It's one of the reasons I love it. You don't have to wait forever for a project to, one part of a project to dry so that you can go on to the next part. This just really dries fast. Gives you a little bit of leeway for moving stuff, but not too terribly long. So you want to make sure you are ready with where you're going to go. Second page, you're going to line up with that first page. Make sure you're on that bottom section there. Make sure that you're over here by the fold so that you're going straight. Lay it down. Make sure it's straight there and there. Whoops, it popped up on me. Start that again. Okay. Alrighty. Now we're going to do our next page. Again, line it up. Push it down. Okay. For some reason, my art glitter glue is just erupting like a volcano. I'm not really sure what's going on there. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. Okay, and I got a little, whoops, I'm not even lined up here. I got a little on my other page there. I'm going to take a wipey and wipe that off because we do not want that to glue down this page. And the art glitter glue dries clear, so if you get it someplace you don't want it, like I just wiped that off, you won't ever even know that was there when I'm done. Okay, and now for our last page. Make sure we line this up nice and even. Press it down. Okay, let's go through and make sure everything is pressed down nice and okay, and make sure everything closes good, and it does. So we are done with part one. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please hit that subscribe button, and if you hit that bell, it will let you know every time I put out a new video. And please share this with your friends. I have a goal of making 1,000 subscribers, and I would really appreciate your help with that. So thank you, and I'll see you with part two.